Hey friends, welcome to the Angie Ambrosetti Show. Let her out to play. I'm Angie, your host, a teenage mom turned multi-six-figure earner, married to the same man for nearly 40 years. I'm a homeschooling mom of 7 and totally unqualified, at least on paper, but wildly called by God. Remember, He doesn't call the qualified, He qualifies the called. Here, we are going to talk about it all. Healing from the hard stuff, building a business with heart, raising a big family, walking in faith, and finally breaking free from the lies that said we weren't enough. So if you're ready to stop playing small, shake off the doubt and the shame, and step fully into who you were created to be, girl, you are in the right place. Let's go. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Angie Ambrosetti Show. I'm excited that you are here today. My sweet friend Laura Worosher is here. She's a writer, she's a speaker, she is a business owner and a truth teller in a world that often prefers comfort over clarity. And don't we know that, my friends? So today, Laura brings a rare blend of insight and authenticity, helping people see what's really driving their decisions, their relationships, as well as their growth. She is the author of 2 books, and she's an author of 2 books of her own. She's also a ghostwriter of dozens more, and she challenges the way we think about success, not as something that we chase, but something that we align with. She's also a homeschooling mom of 3, a runner, the owner of a private petting zoo. I can't wait to hear more about that. And someone who understands that real strength is built quietly in discipline, in faith, and in the choices that no one else sees. So if you're ready for a conversation that's honest, thought-provoking, and just a little bit disruptive in the best way, you are in the right place. And I am really excited to hear about that petting zoo, my friend Laura. Welcome to the show today.
Thank you so much. It's so great to be here.
Yes. So let's just go ahead and talk about it. Tell us about that petting zoo.
I'm gonna go ahead and like my mom is the best. She was the best mom. Love her to pieces, but she was not a pet person. So we never had pets growing up. So as soon as I got out of the house, even in college, I like had turtles in my college dorm room. I was like, I've got to have pets. I snuck a cat in a couple times to my college dorm room because I've always just loved pets. And so when we got a place of our own, I started with a little sulcata tortoise. He was probably, I mean, he fit in my 3-year-old son's palm, right? Like super
Hmm.
small. Now he weighs about 90 pounds. His name's Dash, and he
Wow.
has to be outside because he's too big. And it just kind of grew from there. So currently we have about 90 animals living on my property. Everything from mini donkeys and dwarf goats to quail to geckos, sugar gliders, chinchillas, snakes, you name it. We've got it.
Okay.
And yeah, just super. The kids are a tremendous help. They help me feed and water all of the things, and it's super fun. It's a great way to connect with
Yeah.
people. We've actually had several different homeschool groups come through as a field trip and bring their
Yes.
kids because they're like, "Ooh, we would love to pet a hedgehog or hold a snake or a chinchilla or walk a donkey or something like that." So
Mm,
it's been a really great way not only to educate the kids and have fun with them, but to also
yeah.
help other people who are like, I don't want to own the things, but I would like to still pet the things. So they come and hang
Wow.
out with us.
That's really cool. So, sugar gliders, I just found out what those were last week for the very first time. Someone came to a grand opening of a car place that my husband and son have just launched, and she actually had 4 sugar gliders in her little sweatshirt pouch, and I'd never heard of those before. So it's funny that you mention it. So we connected because we are both homeschool moms. However, I am not a pet person. But now I will say that we did have 4 alpacas at one time, and that's kind of a different animal for people to have. But yeah, so there's that. But that's exciting. I've been
Yeah.
watching some of the things on Facebook that you guys have been posting and seeing all the animals that your kids have, but I'd never connected the dots with the petting zoo. So that's super cool. And kudos to you, my friend.
You.
So tell us a little bit more about, like, when I gave your introduction, we were talking about your books, and You and we met at a convention that we both went to, an expo, and you had a book booth set up, and it kind of drew me in. We started talking. We're both homeschool moms, believers in Jesus, and we just made a connection. And so here we are. Gosh, I don't even know. Is it even been a year? I can't remember. It's coming up on a year, maybe.
It was back in September of 25. So
Okay.
six,
So
6, 7 months,
8 months then. Yeah.
yeah.
So tell us about the books. How did that come about and what you're doing with that now?
So it is such a God story. Growing up, again, my parents, we didn't have a TV. They were anti TV, and so I grew up with books.
Hmm.
I started reading really young, and books were my entertainment. They were my way to travel to different places or to escape into a different time period. And I loved reading and went to college for communications. Thought I was going to be a journalist. Wrote for the school paper, was the TV news anchor for the university, did all the things, but I was also working through college. And so when I graduated, I was, a store manager of a retail store. I was managing a restaurant. I was making decent money. And then I went to do like an entry level journalism position. They were like, yeah, we can pay you 15 a year. And I was like, oh, sorry about that. So I thought, well, that's not doable. So I'll just pause on that for a while. And I continued retail. And then when I got married, had my first son, I really wanted to stay home with
Yeah.
my baby. And I didn't want to work outside the home. So I quit all of my jobs to stay home and just did not handle that transition like a champ at all. I
Mm.
missed being able to cross things off a to-do list and feel like I was part of a team, and getting a paycheck and
Yeah.
buying the boots. I missed it all. And so I thought, well, there has to be a way to work from home. But this was back in 2014, so pre-COVID, when
Yeah.
remote work was like not as much of a thing. So it took me a minute, but I finally landed on web content writing. So
Hmm.
I started working for Microsoft and Shutterfly and AT&T and T and writing their web content, which was really nice because it was not novels, right? It was not that writing world that I had been used to, where
Hmm.
it's more creative. It was very data driven. So that really helped develop that skill set for me. And I worked in that role for about 6 years. And then we moved to Virginia, and I had somebody randomly reach out and say, hey, would you be my executive assistant? And I was like, what? I've never I've never done this before, but that was another sign to me of like, okay, Lord, right? Like, I'm not going to say no if you're going to open a door. So I said
Yeah.
yes. And truly, what that man meant when he said he needed an executive assistant was that he needed a brain. He needed somebody that he could say, hey, I want this accomplished. Go do it. And not have to micromanage or tell, how to do it. Just he wanted it done, and I would just do it. And so
Right.
part of that need was his communication, all of his emails, all of his presentations, all of his speeches. So I eventually worked my way up to being his manager of executive communications, and everything was communication. And as I continued to work for him, he always said, Laura, I want to write a book. I would love to write a book, book. But Angie, did he ever send me anything about this book, like any paragraphs? And no, no, he did not. And so I was like, this man's never going to write a book. So for his 59th birthday, I pulled all of his speeches, all of his
Wow.
presentations, all of his communication. I contacted a lot of his friends and family, his business associates, and I wrote his book and I gave it to him for a birthday present. And he was floored. He was like,
Wow.
this is insane. And he was so grateful for that he said, Laura, if you ever wanted to write or publish your book, I would be happy to fund that. I said, well, don't tempt me with a good time. Uh,
Yes.
so again, I was like, okay, Lord, you're going to open the door. I'm going to walk through it. And so I wrote my first book. It's called Blind to Hope. And it really is about that transition period where I was a new wife, a new mom. We had moved from Kentucky to Houston. So way far away. I had quit my jobs. So it was like all of these big, crazy things all at the same time. And I wasn't around family, friends, a support structure.
Hmm.
And I fell apart. I just fell apart. And I was blind in every sense of the word because I think that I'm one of those like, I can do it. I've got this. Go
Yeah.
get them, but I couldn't. I could no longer be that person. But I had deluded myself into thinking that I should be able to. And so there I was in my blindness, in my feelings of hopelessness, and quite literally just floundering and not doing well. So my book was really about what got me through that, what got me out of that, because as I started to talk to other women, so many of them could relate to that of, oh my goodness, I've had a time where I didn't know what to do. I felt blind. I felt stuck. I felt lost. I felt unseen. So I felt like this is a message that could really help. So that was my first book, and then the more that I talked to women about it, it was like the reason that we were feeling lost or stuck or hopeless was because we were believing these lies. You should be
Yeah.
able to do it all on your own. You don't need any help. You should be able to do it better than a person over here, or look, so and so's doing way better than you. Why can't you do anyway? All of these lies. And so my
Mhm.
second book was called Compete with Deceit. And it was about all of those lies that we believe that get us stuck in that blind place. And so through the course of writing those books and really reaching out to many, many, many different women and hearing these repeated themes, hearing all the stories, I was like, this is just incredible. It's not just me and my story. I am just part of this big group of humans that
Yeah.
all have stories, that all are believing lies, that all are blind in some way or another and trying to work through it. And I thought, people need to hear other people's stories, not just mine. And
Mm.
so I started Beacon Insights as a way to do that, just that, to be a beacon of light and a beacon of hope to all of these people that have stories, whether they're in the messy middle and they haven't quite made it out yet, whether they're on the other side and now they have a story of hope that could help somebody else, wherever they
Mhm.
are at. Maybe they're facing down the barrel of a time they know is going to be really tricky. I wanted to be that space where they could come and help each other. Not that I know it all, but when people come together and stories speak into stories, there's such power there. And
Yes.
so that was what started my business. And then as I was helping people share their stories, it got to a place where they would get a really solid manuscript, and then like, well, now what do I do? How do I publish it? Do I self publish it? Do I get an agent? Do I hire a publisher? And so, having walked through that journey myself a couple times, and also, like I said, as a ghostwriter for others, I was like,
Mhm.
okay, I can help you through that. And as I
Yeah.
was starting to refer people to these publishers, the publishers were like, hey, what if you helped our authors through these journeys as well? So that's what I kind of do now with author relations and author journeys, is really helping them through that.
Yeah.
Uh, so there, that was a very long answer to a very
Love it.
short question, but
And it's so providential if you only knew. So I'm in the process of writing a book right now, and I'm working with a lady who's done some publishing herself, and she's helping me with my manuscript. And just on a call today, some of the things that I shared with her and what you just said is that everyone's story is a piece of the story that needs to be shared, because as I'm telling her, "Oh, nobody wants to hear my story. It's not that important. It's little t trauma." And she's like, "No, you're not looking at it right." But just thinking about, is Beacon Insights, is that your publishing company, or what exactly?
no, so that it's just a platform, an online, free
Okay.
online platform for women. And there's spots on there if you want to ask for prayer requests, if you want to share your own small business that other women can support your small business. If you want
Uh-huh.
to share recipes, we have Bible verses, all kinds of conversations where we support each other. Um, just
Yeah.
a resource, basically.
I love that because, as I have been in and out of this space of, yes, I'm going to write the book. No, I'm not going to write the book. Lord, if you want me to write the book, open the door. If you don't, shut the door. And I really had no idea that that's what you're going to be sharing about today. Although I know you are a writer, it's providential. It really is. And so, thank you for all that you shared. I was going to go back. I was making some notes. And when you were talking about how you guys don't have, when you were younger, you didn't have a television, you were always reading. One of the things that I have been telling moms I've been homeschooling, this is year 26 for me. And when they say, I don't know where to start, I don't know what to do. And I'm just like, read, read, and read some more. But I was thinking about my daughter. We have 6 sons, one daughter, and I just know how her homeschool world runs. They don't have a television, and they read like crazy people. And so when you said that, I was just connecting like the pieces of my daughter and how her kids are such avid readers. And specifically her oldest son, who's 10, and he goes to the places, like you said, in the books, in your imagination, you were going to those places, and it gave you such probably an amazing vocabulary and a sense of imagination as well.
Oh, yes. Yeah, when you can see things right in front of you on a screen, you don't have to imagine them. You're
Yeah.
being shown, and it's putting things in your head rather than allowing you to envision them. And I think it's just a total reshaping of the creative process and the brain.
Mhm. For sure. And I know like during COVID, when prior to COVID, I was like the homeschool nerdy mom, but then all of a sudden the whole world is having to homeschool, right? So everyone was like, we know somebody who's been homeschooling a long time. Let's ask her. And so during that time, it was just like, I'm telling you, if you just read to your kids or have your kids read, you can learn vocabulary, you can learn history, you can learn so much from reading good books. And I love
Yes.
that.
Yes.
And I was also thinking
100%.
about what you said, like when you were in like the corporate world and then you came home because you want to be home with your babies, which is so admirable. I've been blessed to be able to be home with my kids for so many years. And now my youngest is 18. I don't know what I'm going to do as soon as he graduates because I'm like, oh, my whole world has been homeschooling for 26 years. What's going to happen? But I'm sure the Lord, I mean, the Lord has so many things on my plate anyway. It's totally fine. But you talked about the to-do list. And so I get that as well. Like I can connect with you so much on that, even though like I was a homeschooling or I am a homeschooling mom for one more year. And but having that to-do list has always been a thing for me. Like I like to check things off, like check the list, get them squared off or whatever. And so I appreciate you saying that because I think that is one of the things that sometimes, some people don't work with that and some people do. And I too was someone who really needed that space. So thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely. It's one of those things that it's the best thing and it's the worst thing because I really have had to, at the end of the day, if all the to-dos don't get to done,
Hmm.
have to be like, okay, like what's enough?
Yeah.
Like in a given day, what if I get half the list done? Is that enough? What is enough? And what is necessary versus what are nice? Because some of the things on those lists, it's like if the animals don't get fed, that's a problem. If the kids
Yeah.
don't get to their ninja class, that's a problem. But like if the toilet has to go an extra day before I scrub it,
Yeah.
it's not the end of the world. So
Yeah.
it's definitely been a process for me of I could not take my lists away. I would crumple in a ball and like cease
Mm.
to exist. I
Yeah.
would. I couldn't do it. But that process of telling myself if there's still things at the end of the day, it's okay. I'm not a failure
Yeah.
because I didn't get them all crossed off and learning to prioritize. Um, because if gone unchecked, I would prioritize tasks over people.
Yeah.
Admission. I would do it. I would say, sorry, I don't have time to take your call right now. I have these tasks. And then I would never talk to anybody. My tasks would get done, but I'd have no relationships.
Yeah.
So I really either have to call my friend on the to-do
Yes.
list so it's on there, or I have to learn to pause the tasks and take the calls because otherwise my tendency is task, 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 task,
Right.
task. And
Yeah.
then, like I said, it's just like, well, where does that leave me?
Yeah. Well, the good news is that they will still be on the list tomorrow.
That's right.
So there's that. Yeah,
There
I
is
know.
that.
But definitely trying to, and I'll just say too, like for me, prioritizing those things was something that I would do over people. And I'm learning to twist the opposite. So I'm so thankful that the podcast recording was on your to do list today.
Yes, it was.
Yes. And so, okay. So I know our time is short today, but also wanted to ask you about your speaking. Like, I know you're doing some speaking, and actually, the event that we met at, you actually spoke on stage that day. And so, tell us a little bit about that. Where are you speaking? Are you specifically speaking to those who are looking to write books or looking to publish books? What does that look like?
Public speaking is one of those things that I've always had a love-hate relationship with. Before I get on the stage, it's the cold sweats. I am shaking. I
Yep.
am nervous, like all the things, my head's spinning. I feel like I'm going to just pass out. And then I get on the stage and it's like a different zone.
Yeah.
Like the
Yeah.
flip gets switched or the switch gets flipped or whatever it is. And
Yeah.
all of a sudden, it's not me trying to accomplish a goal. I'm sharing a story. And I think that's what it is when I'm in story sharing mode, I hit a different gear, because to me, whenever I give a keynote speech, it's not so much a buy a product.
Yeah.
It's a here's a story. It's how can we connect to each other better and learn and share and grow. And I think if I had to get on a stage and give a sales pitch, it
Yeah.
might end up not as not as good.
Yeah.
But getting up and sharing a story, to
Hmm.
me, it's more of a mission than
Yeah.
anything else. And it's not book specific,
Yeah.
because I think as people hear my story and as I am vulnerable about where I've been and what I've been through, it almost
Hmm.
gives other people permission to feel like they can share their story too, or to feel like they're not alone in their space. They are seen, that it is okay to feel the things that they're feeling. And so it's less about promoting myself and more about creating that shared space that then after my speech, people will come and say, hey, now tell me more about what you
Yeah.
are, what you do or who you are. But it's not because I was selling, it's because I was
Hmm.
really sharing a story that connected.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, I was just doing some recordings today with someone in regards to basically that. It's like before you, what I call it, cross the threshold, before you cross the threshold into that space, that speaking space, that getting into the room, whatever it is, like we're on this side of it and we're nervous and we're like, oh, but as soon as we cross the threshold, I like to say we put on our Wonder Woman stance, we go in, we know who we are. And when you're sharing a story, it's deep within you. It's passion. You don't have to have notes. You don't have to have a script because you know it. Like you know where the passion lies and you show up in who your authentic self is. And I love that one of the things in your intro was being a truth teller and telling the story in a way that connects to other people, basically. And I
Yeah.
love that because in the world where we don't have a lot of truth, like we need to know those things.
Yeah, we absolutely do. And I think that that was again what I said, kind of got me stuck in that rough place, was just not telling the truth to myself. That lack of self-awareness, believing the lies, not telling the truth to myself. And
Yeah.
that got me stuck. And I think people there it's hard to hear. It's hard to hear the truth. But if you always push it down or not allow it in, then you're stuck what? Believing a lie. There's the two
Yeah.
options. It's the
Yeah.
truth or it's lies. And
Yeah.
while the truth is hard, I would rather hear that than be living disillusioned in this lie. So,
Yeah. Well, and I heard Nancy Lee DeMoss years ago. I know she has a different name now because she got married. I'm not sure if you're familiar with her, but the lies that women believe and the truth that set them free. And I always think about that when people talk about how, so many women, they do believe lies about themselves, the lies about who they are or who they're supposed to be. But we know in Christ, we have the freedom. And so I just love that it said, some of your intro is that you are a truth teller, not in the way of a liar, but in the way of speaking the truth. And so I
yes.
love that.
Mm,
But
thank
anyways,
you.
I know you've got to go today, my friend, but tell our audience really quick how they can connect with you. And I will be sure and put those things in the show notes today as well.
My goodness, absolutely. So you can check out the website, the platform. Like I said, it's completely free. Beaconinsights.net.
Okay.
Check it out. Absolutely. You can also, Beacon Insights has an Instagram, Beacon Insights. We have a Facebook page that you can check out. Also Laura Worosher, if you just want to see more of my pets and animals and like fun things about who I am personally. I'm the only Laura Worosher, I believe, on any of the platforms. So it should just be my name and you should be able to find me there.
Okay, that's awesome. Kind of like I'm the only Angie Ambrosetti out there. So there is an Angela Ambrosetti, but she's in Italy. So there's that. But
There's
anyways,
that.
thank you so much for being on today, my friend. I appreciate it so much. And thank you to my listeners. I appreciate you being on again. And I will put all of the information about my friend Laura in the show notes. So I will see you next time on the Angie Ambrosetti Show. Thanks so much. That's it for today, friends. Thanks for tuning in with me today. I hope today's episode stirred your soul, sparked your faith, and reminded you that your story is far from over. Keep walking in freedom. Keep showing up bold, and never forget, God doesn't call the qualified. He qualifies the called. Be sure to leave a review, subscribe, or share this podcast with a friend who needs to hear it as well. Until next time, keep letting her out to play because the world needs your fire.